Hi, and welcome to Whimsy Roo. Here, you'll find DIY projects, homeschool inspiration, activity ideas for kids, and I'll also take you along on our gardening and homesteading adventures. I'm Samantha. I consider myself multi-passionate and love everything creative, crafty, and making things beautiful. You'll also see my daughters, R and E, from time to time. We love crafting, baking, and learning together. We hope you do too. Alright, so I'm here at my parents' house and I'm going to be helping my dad with his raised bed. So he's already got a little bit of it done, got it all set up, and we're going to put in the dirt and soil, and I brought some plants from my place, so we're going to get started with this. Here is his raised bed. I believe he got it on Amazon, so we'll go ahead and link that down below if you're interested in it. It is a raised bed, but he's put these things under it so that it can come up to the height that he would prefer it at. So really it's more of a giant container. So it's a raised bed container hybrid. And then he has done the work of putting these old logs and branches in here. And then we'll put some soil and sand on top of that, just some topsoil. And then we've got some compost, and then we'll get some raised bed soil to put on the very top so that the plants will have the nutrients that they need. So we're going to get started doing all that. So what I'm working on right now is there was a pile of sand here that some grass decided to grow, and now I'm trying to disperse it throughout, but the sand is pretty rock hard. So I'm trying to disperse that out, fill some of these gaps in between the logs before I add on the topsoil. So I broke up that sand pile and moved it around, but I'd like to go ahead and get some more to fill in the gaps here. Now I could buy more topsoil and just do it that way, but here's what we got over here. He's got sand to try and level out the ground here. So I'm going to use what we've got and use the sand to fill in the gaps before we add the topsoil, because not only is it free because it's here, but also it will be really great drainage, especially since this is more of a container than a raised bed. Drainage is going to be really important. So those are my thoughts anyway. You can correct me if you want. I don't really care. This is what I'm doing anyway. Okay, got this sand. It's real powdery. This one had been in place for a while, so it had time to dry out and clump together. This one is a lot more powdery. I could probably add more, but I'm going to call it good enough. Now I'm going to layer on the topsoil. So if you're not familiar with hugelkultur or the lasagna method, basically plants only need about 8 to 12 inches. Like some of your big plants like tomatoes and things might need more like 12 inches, 10 to 12 inches. But most of your plants, your garden container type plants, are only going to need about 8 inches of good soil. So this is, how tall is this? How tall is this?
Oh, that's a 2 foot.
2 foot. So we got 24 inches. So 24 minus 8, that's I don't want to do math right now. But that's a lot of soil that is just not going to get used. So we put in this organic matter down at the bottom to take up space, but also as time goes on, probably in the next couple of years, these will all be broken down and be the tree organic matter will mix with the sand and make a really nice fertile soil that can then be accessible to the plants that we plant in here. So that's why we use organic matter rather than just filling it up with, I don't know, plastic bags or something. So now we're going to put the nicer soil on top, and that will fill up those 8 inches that the plants will then have access to the good nutrients to. Alright, so I finished adding in this topsoil, and you can see you can still see the tops of some of the logs, but for the most part everything is covered. And then take my ruler and show you. I've got exactly 8 inches. Now, I'm still going to add a layer of compost before I put in the garden soil or raised bed soil, because this will settle after a while, especially after we wet it. So we'll lose probably half an inch, maybe an inch of space that way. But yeah, it's looking good. I'm really excited with how it's coming along. It's the dirt. Yeah. This is now with a layer of compost on top. Now I'm going to water it down. So we got 7 1/4 inches. And then after this soaks in and settles a bit, I will measure again before we put in the actual garden soil we're going to go pick up. Probably should have gotten at least another 2 bags, because this did not fill up all the way to the top like I was expecting. But we also need to save room for that mulch, and then the plants are going to displace a lot too. So I think I'm good with leaving it how it is, because it will have some access to that compost underneath, and so yeah, I think I'm okay with it. So we are at 4 inches right there. So that means that we have about 4 inches of good soil, and then another several inches of the, not so great soil. But we'll see how it works. Yeah, it's all trial and error. So we've got San Marzano tomato, questionable pepper. I lost my labels, so I know it is a pepper. Could be jalapeno, could be a Anaheim, could be a bell pepper. Not exactly sure, but all 3 of those are peppers. Another San Marzano tomato, and 1 little broccoli. That was a really fun visit with my dad and mom, and I'm so glad that I was able to get my dad started with his raised bed garden. He used a pre-made raised bed from Amazon and then put it up on those cement blocks. So what ended up happening is that one of the blocks that he had it under actually ended up breaking in half, and the soil is starting to sink. But the tomatoes and the peppers that we planted are still alive, still thriving. So he's just going to leave it, and then I'll have to help him empty it and fix it once the gardening season is over. But so far, everything is growing and doing well. So I'm really excited for him, and I'm going to get back out there and help him again, maybe even with a second bed next year. So I hope that you learned something new and got some ideas and inspiration for your garden, and I'll see you next time.